and welcome to episode 9 of Game My Mom Found. We're coming to you today on March 10th. And before we get started, want to do a quick another podcast you guys get a chance to. It's called This Week in Video Games. It's a podcast all about the world of video games, from news, reviews, interviews, charts, and more. If you get a chance, check them out. He's on most podcasting platforms. And my name is Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
I'm DJ Copland.
Stefan JD.
Stuart Hughes.
And we have a special guest today joining us.
Jesse Chavez.
Welcome aboard. And
hello.
That's right.
All
There's 5 of us now. We're multiplying.
There's going to be one more every week now.
Yeah.
So keep on board. Join Unity. Join the Unity. All right,
Only
Stefan.
1,000 more episodes a week and consist of a small town.
Yep.
Stefan, if you want to tell them what game you forced us to play this week.
It is the classic horror game Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil. You got to
yes. The story of boy meets girl in the zombie apocalypse,
Yeah.
and boy uncovers massive conspiracy, and girl learns her brother's an inconsiderate dick who can't send an email.
True.
I mean, hey, it was 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a computer. They both
Yeah.
had computers.
Yeah, but
She
they
probably
had
faxed
AOL,
it.
dude.
Actually, to be fair, didn't he did write her a letter, didn't he? But he left it in the police station.
Yeah, that's
no,
kind of...
that was his diary.
That was diary, yeah.
There's
Doesn't
a
even
fax
say
machine.
something
No,
along
maybe-
the lines of like, I
mean,
should really tell.
That office
you know?
does have a fax
player.
machine in it. Maybe he sent her a fax, but it got like lost. And I don't know, man. It's 1998.
It was just
Computer
clogged
room.
up.
It's a janky fax machine that doesn't know how to work like Office Space.
It was just
Does it have
clogged up
ammo?
with all of Wesker's weird pictures of people from high school.
Is that what the film is that you get in the game? Just weird pictures besides the Rebecca one?
I think that's just Japan's creepy way of being like, Wesker liked her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think that if you had like looked further throughout his desk, you would have found another similar picture of Barry Burton and Keith. And all
Brad
the stars
Vickers for
unit.
sure.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
one of
but,
like one of Birkin with like the face crossed out.
Or hard
Yeah,
around
he
it.
didn't like Burke.
Or harder. Yeah.
All right, Stefan, you had something you wanted to start with us? Or start with the show?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so when I got this game, it was at this amazing store called Toys R Us.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Yeah, so this is going way back. And
I hear
yeah,
some of those are opening soon.
yeah, so it's
After
coming
nothing
back.
bad happens.
Resident Evil 2 coming back, Toys R Us coming back. So yeah, on my birthday, I had exactly like however much games were back then. And I went to the video game section, of course. And my dad was like, well, you got this one, you got this one, you got this one. So why don't you try this one? I hear it's pretty good. And I was like, oh, crap, Resident Evil 2. I forgot this was a thing because I had heard from all my friends that the first one was insanely hard and it had zombies in it. And of course, I was a big fan of George Romero growing up, watching those with my dad. So this one, I immediately latched to. I was like, sold, getting it. And then I took it home, beat the shit out of it, became a huge fan. So much so that I even read the terrible, well, I guess it depends on who you ask. I don't think they're terrible, but the S.D. Perry novels.
Oh, those are
great.
golden, man.
Great.
Their own universe, but they're golden.
Yeah, so they were classic. I feel like they belong in a museum, but
He didn't specify which museum.
I wouldn't know where they'd go. But anyway, so
Somewhere
I
in
became
Seattle,
such a
probably.
huge fan that we had an art contest at my school,
Wow.
and
Okay.
I drew a picture of Leon, and I was looking at a PlayStation magazine. You can research it. I forget which issue it is, but it's got Leon on the cover, and he's just basically taking out a bunch of zombies with his shotgun. I think he's leveling one with the butt end of the shotgun.
Were you escorted into a room after they saw this picture to ask you some questions, or?
Yeah. And I drew extra blood on it, of course.
Of course.
And
Definitely was escorted.
because I took my time and did it, I actually won the contest. And my gift was a little ribbon, which, didn't matter. It was the point of winning. And they had to put the winner's poster board, which was what it was on, in the main hall of our school.
It's
That's
amazing.
very good.
And I remember walking to recess or whatever, and one of my teachers, Mrs. Rogers, was standing in front of it with just this utter look of disgust on her face. She just wanted to tear that thing down, I could tell. But I eventually took it home and framed it on my wall and kept it for a couple years till I don't know what happened to it.
I think
But
I
yeah,
just
after
found it.
that-
I think it's I just Googled it. The official US PlayStation Magazine, Volume 1, Issue 4. Yeah,
There
he's
it is.
straight up shot like hitting a zombie to the ground with a shotgun.
It's
That's an
bad.
amazing cover. I'm gonna have to find that.
There's some iconic RE2 covers out there. There's some
Yeah.
that are for versions of the game that don't even exist anymore.
I mean, famously, the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw cover that Game
Oh,
Informer
yeah.
did. That got a lot of people into trouble.
So yeah, I became a huge RE fan after that, and I know that Stuart and Jesse have played RE, but
Oh, yes.
DJ and Mike have not played it before. I don't think.
Yep.
My
Yeah,
favorite
not
is
really.
This is my first time.
So yeah, what were your guys' experiences with Resident Evil 2?
I weirdly kind of liked it. A little bit of backstory for those who don't know. The first time I ever even played anything in the horror genre of video games was episode 2 of this podcast when we played the original Silent Hill, which was a nightmare.
Yes, it was.
literally,
And this,
depending on who you ask.
I really appreciated seeing the contrast between these two series because I don't know how everyone else feels about this. This one is significantly less scary, just from my point of view.
Yeah, I mean that's always been the split between Silent Hill and Resident Evil. I think because Resident Evil was always. Oh wait, they talked about this in the Silent Hill podcast a little bit, but Silent Hill has always been more horror oriented, and Resident Evil, even in the early days, was a little bit more.
I think it's more of a different approach to horror. It's kind of like Alien versus Aliens. Silent Hill is very much psychological, whereas Resident Evil is more gore dependent.
Resident Evil is Die Hard but zombies. That was sort of the atmosphere that I kind of got.
This was the entry. Resident Evil 2, I think, is where it started really taking the action movie direction.
Yeah, I absolutely got that from this game. Like, this game opens in stark contrast to Silent Hill. This game opens with a fucking tractor trailer exploding. And if you're playing B, it starts with a tractor trailer exploding, immediately followed by a helicopter exploding.
Yeah, the first moment of respite you get into is when you're walking through a burning city street dodging zombies.
Yeah.
It's okay, this is the moment in the game where I'm supposed to be a little calmer, but you're still going shit.
Oh,
I hate that opening.
It's very interesting because
Love it.
I love it too.
This game has 2 playable characters and 2 who have 2 separate stories, and depending on which one you start with, your opening screen is very different. If you start with Leon, you are immediately being set on from all sides by 8 zombies.
Yeah.
And you are forced to I died a couple times on that before I got in the headspace of, okay, I have to immediately pivot and shoot this guy and then walk a couple steps, pivot, shoot that other guy. It's very interesting because this game is sort of in this push and pull between action and horror, where it very much wants you to shoot all the zombies, but it makes it very difficult for you to shoot all the zombies because you move very slow and you have tank controls.
Mm-hmm. And fun fact is, I think you said 8 zombies at the beginning there. I think that's actually the max amount you can have on screen at one time.
Actually, it's about 6 for this one. Resident Evil 1.5, that one could have up to 7 zombies in there, but they reduced the number to preserve polygon counts so they could have better looking models.
That's what it was.
Got it.
See, that's why he's on the
So
side.
they would have
sexy 1990s slick hair.
Yeah. Oh man, Leon's hairdo in this game, he reminded me of Nick Carter. You remember him?
I do.
I I also like how
So
the hair
dreamy.
was like the main complaint people had about the remake. Like all the news about the remake, I knew so many people that were like, "Oh, his hair is wrong." And it's like, are you kidding me? That's the smallest possible thing.
That's so dumb.
He's wearing a different outfit too, but no one ever would like, "Oh, he's not wearing his police uniform." Yeah, because that doesn't make sense. But suddenly his hair is canonically relevant to the entire story.
It's as close as they could get without going into ridiculous 90s over-the-top aesthetic.
Without making him look straight up like just a member of Hanson.
Yeah.
Which will be a reference lost on most people, I think.
I got it. Does that count?
Yeah. So many people remember Hanson.
That alleyway I did not like that beginning. It's like you go to the gun shop.
That's like one of the first things you said in the first couple days after we started playing this. I was like, oh man, it took me forever to get to the police station.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I kept restarting because I was like, okay, I'm going to get a good run. Trying to die in here. Trying not to use ammo. I was trying, only shoot a little bit, and it just was not working well.
No, this game wants you to use your ammo. This game wants you to shoot the zombies. It is very much unlike Silent Hill.
That's the biggest, I think, that's the biggest learning curve, I feel like, that exists within Resident Evil 2, or Resident Evil just in general, is when you learn that you shouldn't be shooting things, or you shouldn't be shooting to kill things. You need to be like, oh, I can waste one shot to knock the zombie over and then run around him and then hopefully never have to come in contact with him again.
Yeah, and one thing Silent Hill actually did better, I think, is they actually gave you a melee weapon. So you could, if you ran out of bullets, you still had a possibility of surviving.
Yeah.
In this game or Silent Hill?
Silent Hill gave you the melee weapon.
Well, I mean, in this game, you start with a knife.
Usually.
Yeah, you do have melee weapons in Resident Evil, but until the most recent games, I guess in one they had the daggers, but for the most part, you have your knife, and that's basically a primary weapon.
Well, remake to be specific on that for the first one, because it was just you and your trusty knife, especially if you were Chris.
Well, he doesn't even have a knife; he has a goddamn machete.
But like in Silent Hill, I like the fact that you have the pipes and the other things used. And that's like in this game, one of the things that turned me off is that I want to fight somebody. Like one zombie, I'd rather melee him, not waste my bullets on him. Plus, they can take some bullets.
Yeah, I think. I wonder if it's like harder to go back to a game like this now, with the idea of like having to conserve ammo so much. Because I feel like just not that it's a bad thing, but like very few games will make you conserve ammo to the extent of Resident Evil games, like early Resident Evil games now.
I killed every zombie in the police station pretty much when I got there. Everyone was dead. I had enough ammo to take them all out.
I don't kill anything I don't have to.
That's one of the things I feel like made this game feel less scary for me, and which I think the remake would probably fix, is that, again, like you said, they can only spawn so many zombies like at a time in one place. Right. And
the remake introduces an entirely different variable for making you panic.
And it is very, if you're able to position yourself well and you are able to just do it quickly and prioritize properly, like you can clear a room and then the zombies never respawn. Like a clear room is clear. So you can clear out the police station, at least the rooms that you know you'll be returning to, and you can have a significantly easier time.
Well, here's the thing with Resident Evil. Like, any game in particular, like, at least any of the classic games, once you get accustomed to it and you know the layout of the land and you know where all the hidden caches of ammo are, you can pretty much annihilate everything. Resident Evil 2, this is, very much the same case. As long as you know what ammo to use, what's the best thing to take out a liquor, what's the best thing to take out an Ivy, do you run or shoot for crows? Like, once you get that stuff down, I've finished the game with over
you gotta run from the crows.
How long do you hold
on?
There's
no point. They're not worth the time.
Yeah.
How long do you hold onto the rail gun for Claire?
Rail gun?
And the stun gun.
Spark shot.
The spark shot was,
which is like an arc projector, I guess, or something.
It was pretty useful for the final guy, actually.
Yeah, they're very, very good for boss fights. I like to use it on the train elevator against William.
Maybe I should go back and play Claire, because I did not play the Claires at all.
You missed out. I think she was the better of the two.
I also think Claire's campaign is...
Well, I didn't even know you could change the disc until we were just talking before the call. On the PS3, you have to change the disc in order to get Claire, and I didn't know. I'm like, oh, Claire must be normal, Leon's easy. And
nope.
I was expecting a character select screen, but no. there's a Leon disc and a Claire disc, and I did not know that. And I'm playing on the PS3, so I didn't find out until after my first run that you have to open the PlayStation menu and then select change disc.
Or a reset game, unless it's like you can just pick reset game and then you'll choose the disc. And
yeah,
preferably I like starting with Claire because I think her A scenario is a lot better than Leon's A scenario. And then
I wanted to start with Claire. I couldn't figure out how. So
I did too. I would have picked Claire if I could have.
I highly recommend it, especially if you guys like Aliens, because it's they take a lot of filmic inspiration. There's the relationship between Claire and Sherry is a lot like Ripley and Newt, and there's a lot of Assault on Precinct 13 vibes, throughout, and definite James Cameron vibes with Mr. X, like the Terminator, and plus the grenade launcher, which was from T2.
Yeah.
It's funny that,
and him getting knocked into that vat toward the end.
Yeah, the foundry area.
T2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be great if he had like a little thumbs up as he was going down. Anybody that ever melts now in any liquid or just like submerges any liquid, ever since T2, they have to do a thumbs up.
Yeah.
If they don't, then it's a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't care if it's like if it's supposed to be like a really poignant film or something. Like, I don't care if it's like there will be blood, and at the end, Daniel Day-Lewis accidentally falls into a tar pit. He has to do the thumbs up in my mind.
Hey, that was a poignant moment in itself, so it works.
Yeah.
Me and Stefan have a bit of a running gag where we just like we'll play Resident Evil 2 together and we'll slip in, just have it go full on Terminator 2 in dialogue. And just man, this inspiration was a lot more intense than I remember it being.
Just everything.
Sherry, I now know why you cry.
Every time Mr. X or the Tyrant Zero shows up, I'll be back. Pops through a door.
Your clothes, give them to me now. Leon, run!
I liked it when you got to the gun shop and then after you go in, he locks the door with a giant window. Like, oh, this will help. We'll lock the door now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I enjoyed it more once I got to the police station. I was having fun with it when I got to the police station, but
I think Kendo's gun shop might be my favorite instance of a gun shop showing up in a game. It's so fun.
Dumbest gun shop owner in the world.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
He stands right in front of the door.
It's great to see what the backgrounds, the stories that they tell, the fact that his gun shop's pretty much been ransacked, and the story behind it being essentially that Kendo, instead of fleeing town when he could have, when he had an ammo to do it, stayed behind and gave away everything he had, to arm the citizens so that they had a chance, I
don't think that worked out too well.
Especially if you see the Claire version where he's just left with a crossbow, and it's like, dude, shotgun. Keep the shotgun.
It's like a generous version of Bert from the Tremors movie. It's just throwing guns out.
Is the crossbow even useful? Or is it just
yes,
like a shotgun?
God, yes.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 version's the best one. It shoots 3 arrows at a time. It's kind of just big now, a shotgun, but with arrows. Really great thing if you ever get bored playing through one night. Shoot at the crows with the crossbow. They will actually stick to the wall.
Nah.
That's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
I mean, there's a lot to this game. Everyone even before we were recording was telling me I need to play B, but just kind of hear from you guys, I missed out on some, but it's just such a. I mean, I did enjoy it for the most part. I was just so drained after beating it that I was like, I didn't play any games since I beat this on Tuesday, and I just have not want to play anything. I'm just like, I'm done. I just want to chill. I just haven't had any urge that the game did to me.
Yeah.
It's all your fault, Stefan.
Yeah.
It's a really fantastic game, and real time, I'll be honest, it was actually my introduction to horror gaming too, because I was 14 years old. My brother's friend had left a stack of discs, and one of them was a really battered Claire disc. And I thought, I'll give it a shot. I'd only ever really played Mario and platformers on the Super Nintendo. This is before I'd even gotten into PlayStation gaming, and I remember playing through, none of the cutscenes worked. It was all just literally just playing through the game itself.
Yeah.
And being terrified, actually screaming when I got grabbed through the window. I was like, what the fuck?
I can't imagine how you did that. Just being completely confused about not seeing a cutscene, and it just skips to the next part of the game. You're like, okay, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Is a statue involved? What the hell? What's happening?
it meant I had to pay attention a lot more and like thoroughly read through the files and try to figure out, because I was like intrigued. I wanted the what's great about the writing for this one is there's very much a mystery. You want to know what happened.
Yeah, it's almost like following the pieces of not only what's going on in the city, but you also find pieces of the Stars teams, their history, and kind of where they are now. Like finding out Barry and Robert Kiddo are like best friends is great.
Which makes sense. They fit. But like, I still have the save. I still have my save for my very first ever playthrough of Resident Evil 2. Nice. 20 saves. I think I clocked in at 8 hours.
Sounds about right.
I almost jokingly wanted to try to find like a completed save and play through the tofu version of the game and pretend like I had no idea what was going on.
If you have the PS3 version, you can find saves on the internet, and with PlayStation, just pop them in and give them a go.
I would never play tofu. I know what it is. I remember back in the days when this game, at least 64 version came out, my friend had it and he had beaten it. He was showing me Hunk. He was showing me the tofu. And I just remember being like, what the hell?
Fun fact. So tofu was essentially, he was created, they weren't even planning on like using him as a joke character. He was specifically created just to test the hitboxes in the game.
Yeah. Right, because he's a big hitbox.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think this game introduced me to the concept of tofu. I didn't know what tofu
might have been for me too.
Like,
I just love like the art of the Claire tofu with the bandage.
I have no idea.
She's got like a little grenade or something.
It's interesting thinking about with this game is I think the success of the series actually hinges on this one more than the first, because with everything that went on in the production, like this game should not have been a hit. It was a disaster from day one. The first one, like, it was a surprise hit, and Capcom was like, we need a sequel right now, and they set it for a May 1997 release date. Remember, the other one came out early 1996, so this is like a ridiculously short amount of time to put together a game. And they threw something together. We got kind of the base plot line of what we have now. Raccoon City fell under another, fell under a viral attack from an unknown source. Umbrella in this version, they had already collapsed. Like, this is the one where the police chief was actually good. It's like, oh my God, Umbrella was behind everything. They need to be brought to justice. And they were. And like, originally it would have started with Leon already being in the thick of the outbreak. Like, he was an already established cop at the RPD. And we didn't have Claire Redfield. We had Elza Walker, who was like this, just normal college student who's coming back. She, is from Raccoon University, and she ends up, coming back to the school. Yeah, it is. All those puzzles you keep coming across, they're like twice as bad, when you go there in Outbreak.
They only do engineering at Raccoon University. It's the only thing they will ever study. But like, I do like too. So Elza Walker does have that. Her outfit carries over to one of Claire outfits.
Yeah. They touched back on her in the remake with the new costume. I really
hinting at it existing.
Yeah, well, it was a really cool costume, but I can understand why they did away with it, because when they redid Resident Evil, what's now known as Resident Evil 1.5, and what we have in retail, one of the notes is they wanted to have a stronger tie back to the first game, because in the original concept, all of the surviving STARS officers were still recovering in a state hospital, so they weren't any part of the plot.
Except like Chris could ever exist in a hospital.
Exactly.
Chris is either punching boulders or he's in a bar. There's his only two levels.
Yeah.
Just to clarify for everybody, too, that kind of what we're talking about is Resident Evil 2 was made, and then they went back and remade it again because Shinji Mikami came in and said, like, you guys done fucked up, and I need to fix it. So he came in and pretty much was like, this is lame, we got to redo all this. He did the whole game.
Well, like,
just do like an image of Shinji Mikami with like the fake quote attributed to him that just says like "out of the way, bitches." Shinji Mikami, 1998.
Well, like what happened was he was overseeing it, I believe, as a producer.
Yeah,
and the original director kind of had to step back.
Hideki Kamiya, I believe.
I think so. I can't remember. Yeah. I think Hideki Kamiya he'd also like written the original concept, the Resident Evil 1.5, and they brought in Nobu Sugimura, who was a big fan of the first game, and they kind of had him like, hey, he's a professional screenwriter, so like, hey, what can we do to make this better? And like one of the things was he's like, well, you need a stronger connection to the first game with the cast. So Elsa Walker, who like everyone kind of mystifies her, but really she is just Claire Redfield. But basically they're like, okay, we're gonna give her a dye job. We're gonna make her Chris's sister. And part of why they changed the outfit was to give her a stronger connection to Chris, because she gets a vest that's very similar to his vest from the first game. And the structure, the knife sheath, and the bomber Valkyrie that's for his unlockable costume. I
like how she has the knife sheath too, but she works for like a humanitarian organization.
Well, no, she was just a college student, but being a 19-year-old traveling to a big city,
that's true.
Protection, that was
carry
that
out
was
giant.
Oh yeah.
No one's gonna fuck with her.
Yeah, you're definitely not gonna get stopped in the street by the cops. Definitely not.
That's always the most disappointing thing to me about like the sequels, was that as much as I do genuinely enjoy the sequels and I like seeing like where Leon's at, where Chris is at, even where Rebecca's at, I wish we got more of Claire. Claire kind of only exists now within the CGI movies, which she's great in, but just I wish Claire showed up in another game.
Fun fact, Wesker was originally supposed to make a reappearance in Resident Evil 2. One of they had a ton of cut bosses for this that they kind of combined and made into the different forms of William. And one of them, I believe, there's a lot of code names for him, like Golgotha and shit like that. But one of them has Wesker's face like on its back.
It annoys me how often you fight Birkin. It would have been cool to fight Wesker or somebody different, because fighting Birkin, 3 or 4 times you fight him in this game?
Yeah, it kind of works out that they each have their own.
I kind of like it though. Actually, you only played through once. You played.
Yeah,
you only fight him like twice.
I watched videos.
Well, no, there's like 5 different stages of Birkin, and I think some of them are split up between scenario B. Yeah, but exactly. It was one of the things I really liked, because if there's something for those of you guys who was able to play through both of them, like there's a thing where like you'll touch on boss fights in the same points in the plot that the other one would. Like, but they're slightly tweaked because the other person already fought him, so the boss is damaged. So like you'll come across Birkin and he'll look like he did when you fought them the first time around, and then he'll mutate into the next form.
Yep,
or it's he'll lose the pipe. It was something I wish that had made it into remake, unfortunately. But they're like, nah, let's just have you do this exact same boss fight again and again and again.
Yeah. Speaking of boss fights, for I guess everyone except Mike. Sorry, Mike. How did you guys feel about Mr. X? Because when I was playing that as a kid and he burst through the wall.
Oh yeah.
My controller like hit the ceiling.
Yeah, I remember making that point back when we were talking about Silent Hill. Like, oh, I thought there were going to be jump scares. There are no no jump scares in this game. Well, there are no jump scares.
Pops in like, "What's up, bitches?"
Yeah, there are no jump scares in Silent Hill because they're all in Resident Evil. Resident Evil took all of them. And especially Mr. X.
It started with the dog hallway scene and just grew from there.
Yeah, dogs. That was the first thing that killed me in this game. I didn't die until I was downstairs in the basement. I was going down the hall and I'm doing good. I'm feeling good about myself, and all of a sudden I fight the dogs and I miss with the shotgun and he ate me.
That's it. Those goddamn dogs.
I'm at the worst place in the remake, which I unfortunately still haven't finished just because I've been so stupid busy. But I stopped playing the remake. Yeah, the podcast, and just at school. As I mentioned before the podcast started recording, I had a portfolio assessment that was moved up 2 weeks, and so I wasn't able to finish it this time, unfortunately. But the game, not the portfolio. I did that shit all fucking weekend. I haven't slept in 2 days. But like, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the remake. I'm so tired. In the remake, where I stopped playing was in the parking garage after the jail, and I ran through the parking garage and it was filled with dogs. And I went back into the sewer to save, and I just looked up the ladder and I just saw like 15 dog faces staring down at me, and I was like, this is a problem for another time. I know as soon as I go back to that game, I'm just gonna have to restart it because it's such a bad place. Like, I can't climb up that ladder without a dog just being in my face.
The dogs were the worst thing to me about this game. Like, they were the hardest enemy for me. I mean, they gave me the most trouble in that hallway.
No. I mean, well, they're tied with the lickers. Because I hate the lickers because the lickers will just walk up to you, and then there's basically nothing you can do except trade blows. And you just gotta hope to God that you can outlast it. Like, that's it.
Clicking. I like the click as they run towards you.
Their claws clicking on surfaces.
I like that.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's great
easily
design.
My favorite part of the remake, by the way. The way they've changed lickers in the remake is terrifying.
Well,
they're not really. I don't think they were really scary in the original. Like, they were scary. They're
scary
just
in that they were like, this is going to be more ammo than the usual zombies.
They were good threats, though.
I'm gonna have they're a threat, but really they just feel like an annoyance or a roadblock more so than something that's genuinely terrifying. Because again, really,
it's like it's just like the knowledge that like I'm going to lose some health in this fight.
Yeah, exactly. It just comes down to standing there and going, well, okay, I'm just gonna lose like 60% of my health and 4 grenade rounds, and there's nothing I can do about it. Here we go.
Well, I believe with Leon, the best way to handle him is shotgun to the face, and you can kind of stun him backwards and then shotgun him again and not get hit. I think.
That's what I did.
You have to have a really good rhythm with that.
Yeah.
Acid rounds do wonders against him too. But funny thing about the lickers in the remake, they actually picked up a trait from dogs that were originally planned for 1.5. The whole walking slowly and not shooting at them. Mm-hmm. Like originally, in 1.5, they were German Shepherd dogs that had been mutated, part of the canine unit, and they actually retained their training where if you didn't run at them and you didn't shoot at them, they'd leave you alone.
God, that would make this game so much more stressful. Because that's like the remake. That was probably the first time that honestly was one of the first times I've thrown my controller, like actually thrown my controller while playing a game, was when you're setting off the bomb upstairs in the police station, and you know a licker is like going to show up because you just saw one for the first time. You're like, oh yeah. They respond to sound, and I have a bomb. There's no way a licker's not going to show up. And you set off the bomb, and nothing happens for a split second, and it crashes the ceiling. And I was like, nope, fuck that.
What did you guys think of the plant enemies near the end in the lab? I was not a fan of them. They didn't do much. They just shoot like that spit at you and you just
anything that can grab you too.
Anything that poisons you in this game is annoying as hell.
That was kind of another like callback to the original too with Plant. It was Plant 43. Plant 42 was in the mansion. Yeah, Plant 42 was in the original mansion. This was Plant 43.
Oh,
yeah. Now that I think about it, I think there's the lickers and the ivy. I think those are the only two added enemies that aren't bosses to this game, because we have crows, we have dogs, we have zombies, and then we have the lickers, then we have the ivies.
Don't forget the alligator.
Well, yeah,
That alligator was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a cool.
I love the idea too of the alligators. Like, it's just alligators in the sewers.
Yeah,
yep.
It's not even like. It's like it has the T virus, but it's still a fucking alligator. Like
it's just an alligator. Like all it did was make it huge.
It's kind of like the virus in the first game.
The T virus grew it by an extra foot. That's about it.
Yeah, it's like the sharks in the first game. Where you're like, yeah, these sharks are like, they are infected with the T virus. They are like monsters still, but they're still sharks as well. Like if they were just regular sharks.
You want to talk about useless BOWs?
Yeah,
Neptunes for
Neptune,
real.
King of the Seas.
Sorry, you guys run into the moth at all? Didn't even go in that room with the moth.
Oh yeah, that moth. That moth is easy as hell.
Yeah, it was real easy. I just shot him with a shotgun.
I completely forgot about the moth, which is probably why it never got included in remake.
When it's out, use the shotgun.
Didn't need to be in there. One of the things that really grabbed me when I was a kid about this game was the story. Like, just having people, because I didn't experience it myself. It was people telling me about it. And I know, like, I didn't play B, so I missed certain parts of the story with this game. But I already know it all from reading it and being obsessed with it, but never wanting to hold the controller and do it, because fuck this game. But, like, the thing with Brian Irons, like, I was watching a playthrough of it. It's like, man, when you meet the chief and he's got the dead body on his table and he's talking about taxidermy the whole time.
Well, it's,
that guy's a creepo.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was just doing a bit of a deconstruction on Irons not too long ago. The game, I feel like the original game handled it best with him, because you get a lot of information about him before you even meet him. Claire gets that fax in the STARS office, like, oh yeah, by the way, he's a suspected rapist. He may be taking bribes from Umbrella. And he's highly dangerous. And it's just like, oh, okay. And then you get, you read the secretary's like, yeah, he's actually very prone to anger. I think he actually wants to hurt me. And then, find out she disappeared. and then the art. You find the art, and there's a lot of stuff in that entire puzzle with the virgin hearts, where you have to return them to the relief of the young women, and you're like, oh, I'm getting the feeling he doesn't like women. I have to literally burn and sacrifice a painting of a woman being hanged to get one of these gems.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come across him, and he's got a dead woman sprawled on his desk, and he's just like, "Oh, hi. Oh, yeah. That sucks that happened, right?"
Yeah, this game is many things. Subtle, it is not.
He spends half his time just saying creepy things to Sherry too.
I don't think he actually
I might have to play
Sherry in this
Claire.
version.
I might sit down.
No,
here.
I don't think they do.
Oh yeah, it's only in the remake.
They meet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably just play the remake.
Yeah, and the remake is
remember, guys, we are talking exclusively about the original here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for
by the way,
53 hours or so.
By the way, Mike, you mentioned something earlier. How were you playing this game? Because I know the PS3 version is the so-called DualShock version, which was the re-released PlayStation version that was meant to work with the DualShock controller. Were you using the analog stick?
No, I actually play with the D-pad.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, because I started this game trying to play with the analog stick, and you just can't. It's just good luck. Good luck aiming.
Yeah, it was all D-pad.
Yeah, this game is not meant to work with an analog stick. This is true tank controls.
He's easy to adapt into after a while. I've never had too much of a problem with them.
Yeah, it's never bothered me too much.
It's just the beginning. I mean, that's what makes that alleyway so terrible, is that you're thrown right into this. You don't really know what you're doing.
Well, you got to remember that's intentional. They want you to be disorganized and thrown in the thick of the chaos. It's
that is the whole.
And...
That is exactly what they're going for. I agree with that. But there was a point about like a third to halfway through my first playthrough where I got used to it, and then suddenly the game started being easier and actually more fun.
Definitely.
Like, honestly, I really like the police station as a setting. Like, as a designed world, it is a very memorable location, and it's actually very oddly fun to navigate.
Well, originally it was supposed to be the only. It was supposed to be like the mansion, correct? Where it's like only going to be PlayStation.
No,
or not only PlayStation, but mainly PlayStation. Like the mansion's mainly in Resident Evil 1.
No, the setting progression actually was fairly the same. It was police station, factory that was right behind the police station, and then laboratory, sewers, then laboratory.
Okay,
right.
The police station definitely. I mean, it's ridiculous to think with how iconic that building is in this series. It was radically different. It was more modern in the original version. It had a shutter system. It had a.
Well, I mean, it has shutters in this one too. That's actually
that was the surviving remnant. Was the hallways on each wing that you could adjust. But like the 1 and 1.5 was more comprehensive, and you can cut off hallways. You could even like land it on a zombie and cut it in half.
Whoa, cool!
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
In the final version, it's like everything in Raccoon City feels like either it's from the year 2058 or from Victorian England. It's like there's no in between.
Well, it's being an art museum, that was part of their explanation for it. And it was a good cover for Irons because, with him liking to buy expensive art, just be like, well, it's just, we have a bit of a collection. We want culture at this station.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see the Resident Evil version of, I know I've been playing Metro Exodus again, and sadly it doesn't take place much in the Metro, but those games kind of leave out the fact that the Metro system in Moscow is built like a museum, like it's covered in art and all this old Art Nouveau like styling, and just these old like holdovers from like Tsar era Russia are down in this Moscow Metro tunnel. They put everything down there and made it into like this exhibit. I would love to see that in like a Resident Evil game. I feel like that would fit in if they did like a real subway system in Resident Evil. I feel like it has to be the Moscow Metro.
Well,
I'm wondering if the Metro, it's a Metro train, right? Mm. I'm wondering if it has bathrooms in it, because the police station doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is very true. The police station has no bathrooms. I was about to say something about, how much like an actual building it feels, but no bathrooms. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, there's bathrooms just in the strangest of places. Like if you got to go at the police station, the jail cells have toilets. And strangely enough, I don't know if you guys noticed the train, the one you use as the elevator into the lab, there's a bathroom in it.
So
you can pull flame rounds out of the toilet.
And there's probably one hidden somewhere in Irons' office that no one ever explored.
It's like you have to like press the eye of
you
one
have to pull the pants down off a statue, basically.
Yeah. Claire, clicks on a light, and all of a sudden, the one bathroom in the station opens up, and she's like, "Oh, that's how I know you're a sick bastard."
Thank God, finally. Just I like to imagine like that's the intermission between Resident Evil. It's like Claire and Leon get to the police. They're finally in the police station, and as soon as each one gets there, they just find the bathroom. They're like, "All right, the next 2 hours of this game, it's just you're gonna hear me peeing." It's just a black screen. It's just water running. It's just, oh, thank God. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Claire, hurry the fuck up. I need to go too.
All right, they're like, in order to go to the if you exist 3 buildings down from the police station, the only bathroom is still in the train in the police station. If you come down.
I don't have anything to say about this one. What did you guys think of Mr. X, like the final fight? I watched the videos of it and things, but I didn't want nothing to do with that. But
is he actually called? It's been a while, and again, he's not Mr. X in this, right? He's just
Mr. X was like a nickname they gave him in the remake or something.
I feel like as a kid, I called him Mr. X too, long before the remake came out. Like I feel like that was a name back then.
Well, word would get around. Everyone was playing these things. It was kind of like how the rumor you could play as Akuma got spread around, and then that was never a thing
until it was
through mods.
Until they made it a thing.
Still in the era of people being able to tell other people that there are like secret levels and hidden shit in video games.
Press up, down, down to see Claire naked.
Oh yeah,
I missed that. I missed that.
You is under the truck.
Yeah.
Oh God! Don't even bring back those nightmares. I remember going to the library, spending my hours sitting there looking for cheats on how to get Mew. Oh no! Dial no. Nightmares, sir.
Let's not go down that road. That's too horrific for today.
Well, you had to trade Pikachu back and forth 10 times until you broke the game.
You're talking about all the characters. Oh.
You call Tommy's uncle. He works for Nintendo.
We haven't mentioned Ada at all yet. We mentioned Sherry. We haven't even once mentioned Ada yet.
Ada, who
apparently became a fan favorite after this game.
Oh, the ballsy spy.
Yeah. Who's like the worst spy in the world.
Did you just seriously use your real name as your cover?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Named Bond. James Bond. What?
I like to imagine the entire game. She has like Wesker on a Bluetooth or something, and he's like listening and he's like, "Oh Jesus Christ, Ada, are you serious? Like, make something up, Ada."
You should look it up.
Shaken, not stirred.
Yeah. There's a video on YouTube that's exactly that. She's called Ada Wong, worst spy ever, and Wester's just face palming the entire time. He's like, "Did that? Seriously, just use her real name." And then he's like, "You're suspended for a few years." And then for Resident Evil 4, he's like, "Yes, you decided to go through rural Spain in high heels and a butterfly dress. Kill me now."
Was Wesker the one that sent her then in this game? Is that
canon? It's who she was. It's been retroactively made canon. Umbrella Chronicles, there's a scenario where it's after Resident Evil 2 and she's trying to escape the city, and Wesker, he gives her grapple hook that she uses in Resident Evil 4, and he basically like guides her out of the city.
Okay.
Before that, she was just like ambiguously working for Umbrella.
She was playing them, yeah.
It was here's the thing. You didn't know who she worked for, but if you don't know who somebody is, they are involved in Umbrella. That's the rule in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
If you don't know somebody's name, if they don't introduce themselves and go like, "Hi, I'm Brad," then you're like, "You work for Umbrella. You're a bad guy."
That's, again, one of the main differences that I felt with this as opposed to Silent Hill, which was in Silent Hill, you didn't know what was causing any of this. You had no idea. And especially if you were playing the American version where they took that part out, where they actually tell you, you just never knew what was going on.
I wouldn't say they took it out completely. They just definitely made it a little bit more.
They made it way murkier. Like it was
entry.
Whereas in Resident Evil, you find out basically from the beginning that Umbrella did this. It's never a secret, and you figure out like
it's a secret for like an hour in Resident Evil 1.
Well, I mean, no, because it opens up with the recap of the first one.
No, I mean, in the first Resident Evil,
Umbrella,
like, you're like, what's going on? And then within an hour, it's like Umbrella did everywhere.
this. Umbrella did the zombies, and then you see a zombie, and then you're like, oh yeah, I wonder who's behind this.
That's in this game. I'm saying in the first game, it's like kind of a secret for a bit where you're like, oh, there's zombies. What's going on? And then you see Umbrella's logo.
Until you get to the lab and they slap their fucking logo on computers, OS systems.
They might as well have their logo and then their name, and then underneath of that it says like, definitely not secret project by Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah, gets to the lab in Resident Evil 2. Definitely not secret Umbrella Laboratory on the ground.
Yep, definitely not.
Like one thing we haven't mentioned it, how many times they ported this game. Like originally, this game only came out, on PS2 in 1998, but then you had the Windows version, you had 64, you had Dreamcast, GameCube.
Yep, and they re-released it on PlayStation.
Yeah, on the PS3. Oh yeah, and the PlayStation 2.
I literally
missed that.
Cell phones. Oh, the game.com. It's you remember those crappy little Tiger Electronics games where they're fighting? Yeah, they did something like that, except for Resident Evil 2, and you could play through the whole plot.
It's like a knockoff of the 3DS.
Like a side-scrolling game.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I had someone that told me game.com. I'm like, what the hell is that?
They originally were going to make one release, one for Claire, one for Leon, but they only made the Leon one, and it tanked so bad they never bothered releasing the Claire one.
It did connect to the internet. There's no way that was the first handheld that connected to the internet, was it?
I can research. I'm not sure.
I need to look into that because I think that thing came out in like the late 90s, and it technically had internet.
97.
Yeah.
Can we take a moment to talk about how awesome the soundtrack to this game is?
Yes, we have not mentioned that yet.
Yeah, this is a good soundtrack. I really enjoyed it. It underscores the action just right.
I think the favorite part of it for me is the fact that there's a little motif that plays throughout almost every track. The main theme of the game. Da 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 na 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 na. Like you can hear it a lot in Williams' themes, and you can hear it in Ada's theme. You can hear it. I was gonna joke. Like you can hear it in Sherry's theme.
Mm-hmm. No. Everyone gets a theme.
I like the sound effects. I mean, I like the sound of the mummies, the zombies chewing on you, and like the moaning. Everything is that was creepy as hell. I mean, it did a good job.
They have 3 different composers as well. Like they had a composition team rather than a single composer.
Masami Ueda, Shusaku Ushiyama, and Suyun Nishigaki, I think. I actually have the soundtrack in my hands right now. Forgive me if I butchered any of those, but yeah, it was a really awesome collection of themes.
I tried to say a name last week, and I just could not get it out, so don't worry.
They were there right from the beginning. They actually did a few tracks too for 1.5. One which actually managed to survive. It's the train yard theme that was originally for the lab.
Masami Ueda went on to be the composer of 3 and the first Devil May Cry as well. I don't know if he was the chief composer, but he worked on Beautiful Joe and Bayonetta as well. And Okami.
So I have a quick question for you guys, because this is such a revered classic, and I mean, anyone who's played Resident Evil, they're probably going to say this is definitely in their top 2 or 3. Nope. I mean, it'd be weird if they didn't.
Nope, not at all. Sorry.
Okay, well, most people. What was your favorite part or least favorite part of the game? Like, there's like the setting, and what was your least favorite puzzle?
The alleyway puzzle. I used a guide, so I had to plead the fifth on that question.
Least favorite puzzle.
They're all so inane.
Yeah, they're all pretty terrible.
As much as I love Resident Evil, the puzzles have always been like I think I like all the puzzles because they're also like charmingly weird.
They're all in that very obtuse. I don't know why it is that survival horror decided to borrow its puzzle structure from LucasArts point and click adventures. Like
it made sense in Silent Hill because at least you knew like behind it was just a little girl who really loves puzzles and stories and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. It made sense.
Or as we mentioned, Shiba Inu.
Yeah.
It worked in Silent Hill because Silent Hill is not supposed to make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's a little girl's fever dream.
Well, it also makes sense in the first Resident Evil 2 because it's a house built by a madman essentially who's just kept changing the plans.
They do try to justify some stuff because, like, I know there's a document you find in like the night guardsman's room where it's like, oh yeah, I'm playing chess with that guy who works in the sewers. He really loves chess. So like, oh, that's why I have these chess plug pieces.
And
you can even find
that is basically the reason they had to make the police chief a complete psychopath weirdo madman. Otherwise, like, who else would eat these rooms with like, okay, I'm gonna hide all the precinct keys in these statues that you can only open if you find a medal.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if it was like hidden rooms, but it's like important rooms that everyone would need to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite, is like one of the memos you find near the beginning that's like chronicling the outbreak in the police station is like, oh yeah, we as a safety protocol, we had people spread out the munitions and just hide them all over, and then we realized that's kind of a shitty idea, but now it's too late.
Well,
instead of putting them all in one place.
Okay.
That was intentional. That was one of Irons' like subtle ways of fucking over the entire police station. He destroyed the communications. He confused them, and he was just like, no, we're gonna go about things business as usual. Also, you deal with
people
those.
People are dying. No.
It's just a riot. It's just a riot. So we're gonna play it by ear.
Everything's cool, you guys. So we need to call stars. Like half of them are dead. You're fine.
One thing we haven't covered on the game that I didn't even know about wasn't for videos. I mean, because I knew about Hunk, I knew about the stupid tofu. I didn't know about I think it's called the EX one, where it has Leon, Ada, Claire, and even Chris Redfield playable.
Oh, the battle game.
Yeah.
The prototype mercenaries, pretty much.
I thought that was pretty cool when I found that. I was like, because there's a whole new model for Chris too. They didn't even use the Model 1.
Well, yeah, they
before
couldn't.
we get
It was terrible.
Buff Chris. That was pretty cool.
I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention Hunk for a friend of mine who.
Yeah, we should mention that because I want to start
listening. If Sam Mercer is listening, I'm going to be talking about Hunk for a little bit.
God, I hate Hunk so much.
I love Hunk.
I like Hunk.
So
I didn't play
cool.
him, but I thought he's cool.
Hunk's a tool. They call me Mr. Death, and I'm just like, they didn't like you when you were like training to be a soldier, did they?
The death cannot die.
Hunk had like all the shitty Pokemon cards. That's why they didn't like him.
Also, Hunk like gets his ass kicked and he's left for dead too. Like, I love Hunk because he exists as this like weird like machismo like wannabe badass. And he just gets his ass kicked by Birkin. Wakes up like an hour later and he's like, "Oh, I better get out of the city." He makes
current day Leon look humble.
Yeah, except without like the achievements of Leon.
I do like the fact though, like kind of speaking of Hunk, is the whole reason why the city goes to hell is because they go get the G virus, they fuck up and didn't kill Birkin, and then the rats get into them, and that's the whole way this whole terrible thing happened because of rat
plague. Well, it's. I can at least verify, like, the city was doomed no matter what. It's just they fucked it up and sped it up even faster because they were already like dumping hazardous materials into the water supply. They're just like, no, we need to make the best BOW, and it's like, but guys, you're killing the city.
Somewhere out there, Hunk is trying to vaccinate children against people's wills.
No, God.
Mother's just punching him in the face.
That's what I do these days.
The next plague. I am death. I don't care.
Any last things you guys want to say about the game before we move on to listener questions?
Oh, yeah, 100,000 things. So.
Yeah.
Well, so great.
We covered most that I wanted to, at least.
Should we talk about the movies at all?
No, please.
No, definitely not.
Not right now.
Stick with the game.
Okay.
That's actually something we never touched on in this game. It was a huge aspect of the experience for me, was the very restrictive inventory system, which is another way it totally distinguishes itself from, especially, from like Silent Hill and other games like that. Where in Silent Hill, you could carry as much as you wanted. You just had to worry about not using all of it. Like, you just had to worry about conserving it. Whereas in this, you have to worry about conservation, although not as much, but it's more. It's more
a lot of like, do I pick? It's a lot of like, you find an item and you're like, okay, I know this is important, but I don't know what it goes to, so I'm not gonna touch it. Like
it's like every time you go to an item chest, you have to be like, well, I would really like to bring shotgun ammo so I don't like run out of shots in the middle of a crowded room. But like, I need this precinct key or else I can't get in the door. So it's like
that's if you choose to use the item chest.
Yeah, Stefan, what were you saying?
Well, there was one more thing, one huge decision that we didn't cover that's specific to this game, as far as I can remember. But it's kind of like the zapping system, where there's a moment in the middle of where you're on the basement area, and as Leon or as Claire, you run to a locker, and inside the locker is a pouch that actually gives you 2 extra inventory slots and a machine gun. But you can choose, if you take both of them, the next time you play through with the other character, they will not be able to get them.
They'll not be able to get,
And the game does warn you about it, because like, I should probably leave this for Claire or Leon or whoever the other person is.
That's one thing I wish, like, I enjoy Resident Evil 6. I like that it's like 4 completely different stories, and the stories have a completely different tone to them. Like Leon's feels like Resident Evil 2, kind of like more of a mystery that you're trying to solve, and Chris's feels like Resident Evil 5, where you're punching things. Yeah. But I like that. But one thing I really wish is if you had those like crossover campaigns, because they cross over each other like constantly throughout the game. I kind of wish you would gone through the same areas more and say like, oh, you picked up this many healing items, so now there's only like so healing items left for Sherry, and I think that would have made that game really, really remarkable.
I would have hated that. I'm thankful.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
It's a gameplay decision. I can understand why. Like, I think what I would have preferred is maybe some slight variance on puzzles or some different ways to enter certain rooms. Mm-hmm. And they, something that, so you're not just doing the exact same puzzles and the exact same keys.
Yeah, and there is a degree of that, but
it's a hard balance to say like, oh, we're trying to make a fun game, but we're also trying to, not that the original Resident Evils aren't great, but they're not for everybody.
You also have to keep in perspective, they had a very short timetable to make this, because they already lost so much time with 1.5 and having that technically be scrapped, and trying to stitch together new content and save what they could from 1.5. Like, the laboratory is about the closest we have left, and there's one room in the lab that's untouched from that build. That's it.
It's funny that we talked about this last week. We did mention like games are one of the only mediums where something can be scrapped and what comes out of it is consistently great.
Yeah. It always seems to be with Mikami too, because he did this. I believe he did the same thing with Resident Evil 4.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
It's any game Leon's in, it seems like it gets completely retooled.
Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to just have Mikami make every game and tell him Leon Kennedy is in there somewhere, and at the last minute say, "Oh, by the way, you're making a different name."
All right, I think we covered just about everything we wanted to say about RE2 then for listen and move on to there's a couple more things we'll touch and listener.
There's a couple other things I want to talk about, but I'll save it for Shelfer Box.
Okay.
Fun fact about Shinji Mikami, by the way, I feel like I should point this out. He's the voice of Takahashi, the Newell robot in Fallout 4.
Get out of here with Fallout. First question we have from Sebastian G. Favorite gun to use in the Resident Evil games? We're just going to say Resident Evil 2. What was your favorite gun to use?
In just Resident Evil 2?
Yeah, let's go with just 2.
Oh, man.
I'll go first since I already read this question ahead of time. For me, since I didn't play much, I'd say the Magnum. Magnum just felt great. It took out bosses and a couple of zombies for me if they got in my way. It was awesome.
Yeah, I gotta go shotgun. I see. I always have a tinge of guilt using a Magnum in a Resident Evil game, because every shot I take, I think, oh man, what if I could have used, what if I didn't have to use it for this fight and I could have used it for the final boss or something?
I have a specific question. Are we talking the original Desert Eagle by itself, or the modified version with the extended barrel?
Is this the C Magnum or the Magnum?
I know you're talking about. I'd say Combat Magnum. Combat Magnum was really freaking nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say specifically the upgraded shotgun is because
there you go.
I put the first time I used that I was like, holy shit, like that thing kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how they did it. They just designed it to like feel extra powerful. Like something about the sound design on it, or the animation, it just like conveys this enormous sense of force and power every time you use this thing.
That's the upgraded shotgun where you put a stock on it and suddenly it's not a pump action shotgun anymore for some reason.
Yeah, it turns it into the shotgun from the first game, strangely.
Resident Evil always has like this weird history with the guns that they use because they're all like, I mean, the shotgun is the Remington 870, which is pretty good, but they all use like the worst versions of guns. Like the Samurai Edge, which I love. The Samurai Edge is a great like pistol and iconic in those games. It's the Beretta, and the Beretta is like the worst designed handgun ever. It just jams constantly.
I mean, it's a horror game. You don't want the guns to be too good.
And then like Leon uses the like VPN 70, his wing shooters. That's such a like I always wanted to know, like, did Mikami just see a picture of that somewhere and think it looked cool? Because
probably
it's such a like obscure gun. I feel like I want to know how he came about.
It's funny in Remake, the description for that gun even mentions that it's kind of crap. Like it's not barely good for civilian use, but hey, it's what I got.
It's like the most impractical thing that Leon could use as a cop.
Yeah, for the Samurai Edge and the Berettas, I know the fact that they used that one is just because that was common for police at the time.
Yeah. Well, it's used for the military too, but they got rid of that shit finally.
All right,
it's so bad.
Fun fact about the different version. We were mentioning earlier different ports of the game. I believe it's only the N64 version, but it could be PC too. I think if you shoot at the screen with your gun, it will make bullet holes.
That's in the PS1 version. Same with the Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut.
Every game needs that.
I did not know that. I would never waste a bullet.
Quick side note, this game is the reason Director's Cut for Resident Evil 1 exists in the first place. They made it as an apology for the delay.
That's cool.
Another fun fact about this game is that the movie that was inspired by it, it was almost written by George Romero.
I've read that script.
Yeah.
It's a great script.
That would have been so cool.
If anybody wants to actually hear somebody read that script, Game Informer did a full-on video of it where they're in character doing the voices and everything.
Somehow I don't think I've seen them do that. I need to find that.
It's amazing.
We almost got a world where George Romero made the Resident Evil movies. Of course, we also almost got a world where the guy who wrote Halloween 4 made the Resident Evil movies, and that probably would have been arguably worse than Paul W.S. Anderson, but we'll never know.
I just watched the final chapter, and let me say, it probably still would have been an upswing if it was just literally anybody but him. My gun of choice would have been Claire's Browning HP.
Okay.
I like using my pistol.
Now that's a good gun for a zombie apocalypse.
All right. Next question from Michael Hughes. Where does Claire fit in the hierarchy of badass female characters on a scale from Ashley Graham to Ada Wong?
Pre-Resident Evil 5, I'd say she was number 2. Post-Resident Evil 5, I'd say I'd put her number 1, I think. Counting her in like the full like legitimate canon of Resident Evil, like if we're counting Degeneration, where she is just badass the entire time, that beginning is just Claire kicking ass.
Yeah.
I'd put her probably pretty high up on the list. I know 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's tough because we're not including Jill Valentine, right?
Any RE series, whoever you want.
Okay, well then I'd place her second, but only because we got more of Jill Valentine in the later games, whereas she's kind of, cheesy in the first game, so she's not fully a badass yet. But if we're going full generation, then Jill sandwich. So then we'll place her second. I'd place her second.
Fun fact: we're going to GalaxyCon with some people. Well, I'm going to GalaxyCon with some people, not us in the podcast, but I've got a plan to dress as Barry Burton, and I think I'm just going to walk around and ask everybody if they'd like a Jill sandwich.
We almost got through this podcast without mentioning that damn sandwich.
Almost. I wasn't going to bring it up, but Jesse, you were going to say?
So I'd have to say for Claire, I'd rank her as number 1 just because I appreciate how understated her badassness is. She is the protector, she is the Ripley of the series. Almost every game and every story she's in, she's protecting somebody, whether it's a moody Canadian teenager or another little girl from a war-torn country. Like
a moody Canadian teenager, that's Barry Burton, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. But like she really isn't afraid to put herself on the line and protect people. And I feel like Code Veronica kind of did her a disservice by taking her out of the action like halfway through the game to make it a game for Chris. When she, this is the same woman who took on a G-infected monster multiple times and managed to grab the cure and save a little girl's life, and then fight the damn thing again on a train.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, she's also the only like Resident Evil character to survive. Well, first of all, she survived Raccoon City despite not having any training really, aside from growing up with Chris. That was her training, which I guess is still pretty good. But
yeah, being a Raccoon City survivor already makes a big distinction for her, because not many people can say it.
As a civilian, she's a Raccoon City survivor, and then
she did this at 19. A 19-year-old college student did all of that.
And then whereas everybody else like continued to, I feel like this makes her more badass in the context of this universe, is whereas like Leon and Chris and everybody went on to continue trying to battle Umbrella. Well, Chris went to a bar, but everybody else went on to battle Umbrella. Claire joined like TerraSave as a human rights organization. It was just like focusing on like the people side of it. And I feel like that was like, that makes her special. Everybody else is just BSAA. We're going to fight Umbrella, and Claire is the only one who cares about actual people.
That's why I say she's the heart of the series. And I know we didn't want to bring up Remake too much, but there is one moment that sums her up as a character. She's holding Sherry, she's infected, she's dying, and Sherry's just like, why are you doing this? And Claire's simple response, because I care.
Yeah.
I would even attest to her being even more badass in the remake. I think they even upped her badassery.
DJ, do you have? I know this is your first RE. Did you have any answer for this question?
I'm recusing myself.
Okay.
I don't know. I've only played this one, so
we'll change that. Don't worry.
Well, I guess the question I would ask in exchange then is, how did you feel about Claire in general in this game?
Well, that gets into another thing we didn't really talk about, which is the voice acting.
Oh, and we skipped that. That's
yeah.
It's not a bad. I don't know. We should talk about that real fast.
Yeah.
It got better.
It got better, but that was after Resident Evil 2.
It got better. It got better from 1. Like,
oh
my god.
You have to understand, like, again, putting yourself back in 1998, Capcom was just starting to realize, oh, hey, maybe it's important if we get people who are actually like accustomed to speaking English in charge of like, or at least assisting with the directing for this. And then they kind of pulled, people, more experienced actors. Like, this is the beginning of them pulling from their X-Men pull from when they were doing those games. And they're like, hey, Allison Court, you're great at Jubilee. Let's have you try out for Claire.
Yeah.
And then we got Jean Grey as Jill in 3. So
yeah, like we mentioned the Jill sandwich, but like Resident Evil 1 is just filled with, and Jill, here's a lockpick. It'll be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you. It's just like lines that don't make any sense written down and then spoken. They're just even weirder.
Localization, very important.
Localization.
At some point, Barry just goes like, me and my old age. Like it's something he has, not something he is.
Yeah. Barry, are you just tired? Fuck you, Jill.
Yeah.
I would say for that other question with Claire, I would say probably number 2 right under Jill.
Oh, this is not.
I do like Jill a lot.
Jill is badass.
Another question I got from Tony C. This was from not Overblood, but one of the other groups I'm part of. I like this question. What is the scariest enemy in the game, and why is it the dogs? I 100% agree with this. Those damn dogs killed me, and I was terrified of them.
Wow, that came full circle.
Is it just this game or in Resident Evil in general?
Let's just go with this game.
For this game, I definitely agree. Dogs, just because they're very fast and they're usually in packs, 2 or 3 to a room, and they can kill you fast if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Say the spiders only because I don't want to have to run back and pick up a blue herb just because I'm freaking poisoned.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't even mention the spiders yet, so that's all right.
I mentioned earlier about
Poison.
anything that can poison you being the worst in this game.
Giant spiders are like an enemy that just they have such a weird like existence in the Resident Evil games, I feel like.
I do miss them though. I kind of wish they'd make a bit of a comeback.
Like they were in the Resident Evil 1 remake. I would love to see them. Yeah, like God, can you imagine spiders in Resident Evil 7? I would have shit my pants.
So wait, the question was specifically which one we found scariest, right?
Which enemy
in this game, yes.
I'm going to say the giant alligator. That was the biggest holy shit moment of the entire game for me. When that thing just explodes out of the water and starts chasing you. It's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah, it's like you get a hint that it's one of those things where like you get a hint early on, like, oh yeah, alligators in the sewers, and it's so weird. You're just like, okay, it's like joking of. It's a joke about how alligators live in the sewers of like New York or something. It's one of those like urban legends. And then no, it's just a giant fucking alligator just bursts out of the water.
Just a giant goddamn alligator takes up the entire width of the hallway.
I might switch my answer to that because that was probably the moment that was probably like the biggest moment of Resident Evil. I was like, I can't trust video games anymore. Like if you say something so stupid that I'm like, that's funny. I'm like, no, wait, hold on.
No, that's
Were
not
they
funny.
joking or
It's objectively fucking terrifying.
The most important question we had: Leon's haircut, yay or nay? From Ron H.
Yay.
Yay, also.
Nay.
Screw
it. Fuck that pretty boy.
Is this an old haircut or a remake haircut?
Resident Evil 2, just original.
I mean, Resident Evil 4 is like the height of his haircut's perfection.
RE2.
I know, but you gotta like you can't talk about Leon's hair and not talk about Resident Evil 4. I will not sit here and not talk about Resident Evil 4, Leon S. Kennedy's.
We're gonna have a Resident Evil 4 episode.
Oh yeah.
Leon Scott Kennedy had amazing hair in Resident Evil 4 with his cool jacket and
Hey, it's cool hair in this game too.
it's yeah, I mentioned earlier, it's like Hanson hair. It's like a little it's like Bob Saget halfway through Full House. It's like that kind of haircut.
It's not as bad as what's his name's haircut in Code Veronica.
Steve.
What about
Steve, yeah.
The haircut that almost cost them a lawsuit from Leonardo DiCaprio, so they had to change it for Code Veronica X.
Yeah.
Give him bangs.
Who was the redheaded dude in the first Revelations game? That guy had some awful hair.
I just call him Conan O'Brien, but
You know what I'm talking about, though. Like,
yes.
God,
those games are so terrible.
I'm looking up. I like the first Revelations. I thought was fun. I didn't think it was like great. It felt like it was, it felt like it should have been like a demo for a much bigger game, but I thought it was fine.
Oh yeah. There's a whole other plot to that. They
Let's not go
probably
too far
scrapped.
with that because that might be on here. And then
I'm just trying to find the guy's name.
And then last question before we do trivia. Prior to the outbreak, do you think Raccoon City was a nice place to live in? This is from Ken P.
It depends on whether or not you had enough money to bribe the police chief, I guess.
Well,
I mean, again, not to compare this series too much to Silent Hill, but I would much rather live there than Silent Hill. Like, it's an actual city.
Same here.
With like a subway system, and you could probably like get a decent hot dog somewhere.
well,
You probably get a good job with Umbrella too. And I mean, from what I know of the lore, I think they fixed up the city from being like old town to new town.
Well, yeah, because it's referred to as a Midwestern town, and in 3 they touch on the Bright 21 Raccoon plan, and essentially that's why for a small Midwestern town they have a metropolitan zoo, a subway, a giant police precinct that was retrofitted from an art museum.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Tall, sprawling buildings.
I've always viewed Raccoon. By the way, his name is Raymond Vester. Everyone look up Raymond Vester and be just like completely disgusted by his haircut. But it's I always thought of Raccoon City as like Gotham from the Tim Burton Batman movies, where it's just ridiculously complex to such a degree that like anything could exist there and you'd believe it.
Yeah, basically.
And I don't know.
This is like the ultimate like any town USA style setting.
Whereas, I don't know that I'd want to live there.
Yeah, whereas Silent Hill was like very specific in terms of what it was. In terms of what it was based on, and like the aesthetic was very, very specific. Like you knew exactly what they were going for. Whereas with this, it's whatever it needs to be.
Yeah.
If you were to live in Resident Evil's universe, where would you want to live?
As far away from Raccoon City as possible.
That's Antarctica, and there's an umbrella base there. So once again, asshole.
You set that one up on purpose.
I think Italy. No one ever attacks Italy in Resident Evil games, right? They're always kind of.
Let's all just live in Sicily.
Yeah. I mean, not the Vatican. The Vatican's obviously going to get attacked.
Honestly, you know what? I think if let's see, Europe. I think Europe is out because that's where Resident Evil 4 takes place.
Spain and
nothing ever happens in Japan. Let's just all live in Japan.
I think Resident Evil 6 takes place in Japan, doesn't it?
No, that's China.
Yeah.
Oh, China.
Yeah, no, we're good. No, we found the secret. Like, this is the one Japanese game series that never ever takes place in Japan.
It's secretly like a pro-Japanese nationalist game where they're trying to make everyone believe that everywhere else in the world is shitty.
Everywhere else is a goddamn zombie-infested shithole.
It's
Come to Japan.
Leon, there's a missile full of sea virus.
Immigration.
There's a missile full of sea virus heading right towards Osaka. Oh wait, their Japanese awesomeness just caused it to explode in the middle of the ocean. Oh wait, no, that's gonna turn the. Oh shit, they're fucked.
I don't know for. I was gonna say Australia, but Biohazard the stage takes place in Australia, and
it does.
How
do we get back to that?
Because it's great, and everyone should watch Biohazard the stage. There's a dance number where Piers Nivan and Chris Redfield dance around zombies, shooting them in the head.
Okay.
If you want more Resident Evil dance numbers, watch Biohazard the stage.
You guys ready for trivia then?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I think I know who's gonna get most of these.
Yeah, me too. And my wife is always for the trivia.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, away from your keyboards. No cheating.
All right, I'm sitting on my hands.
Okay, let's see. What does the name tag on the locker that Marvin
Jojo.
is leaning up against
Jojo.
say, and what does it mean? What does it mean?
Oh God.
Oh, I used to know this one.
You did get part of it right, but what does it mean?
Joseph Joestar.
Oh my God.
Josiah
Bartlett. They're a huge fan of The West Wing. Is it
No.
for a voice actor? Damn it! That was like the first trivia question I've gotten.
I hate it because I know I've heard the answer to this one recently, actually.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Jojo, you are correct. It's referencing Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Also,
Was that right?
Also
Oh my
named
God,
by
he was
Peppa.
right.
I was right.
So you were half right, but you didn't know why it was there.
I said Joseph Joestar. That's the guy from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, I guess he was
I
right then.
missed that part. Sorry. Okay, so you were
Oh
right.
my God, that was a total shot in the dark. I knew it
Good
was
job.
JoJo, and I totally guessed Joseph Joestar. When in doubt, always guess JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's been around for way longer than anyone can imagine.
That was a good one, by the
I
way.
can't believe I
That
got that
was.
right.
I'm surprised too, but
Shout out to Adam Clark for that if you're listening. What item do you find? I think he means in. So what item do you find in Wesker's desk after checking it 50 times?
Perkins picture,
film
and a
roll
Perkin,
of
Rebecca
Rebecca.
And
Chambers
what is
picture
it
from high
used
school.
for? Whoa, one at a time, guys.
It's Rebecca
wait.
Chambers.
It's a film roll with a picture of Rebecca Chambers on it and her basketball outfit that says recruit on it.
Yeah.
Right. I think we all knew
A
that
lot
one.
more detail than I have. So
I knew that
yes, you
too,
got
actually.
that.
So it's from her days as a junior varsity Raccoon Police Department basketball player.
not weird at all.
Exactly.
That's
She's
not creepy. What kind of games are you guys playing?
Resident Evil.
Japanese
That explicit?
90s games.
Yes.
That's all I have. Sorry, guys.
No, that was perfectly adequate. Thank you.
That was enough.
Bye.
Thank you.
I think at some point I cut myself off to answer myself faster.
You did too.
All right.
Okay, should we start shelf and box then?
Yeah, let's go.
Steph, since it was your pick, you want to start?
Yeah, obviously on the shelf. It'd be funny if I said in the box, but no, on the shelf.
Everyone's saying
I
box and we
mean-
just act like we forgot what it means.
I mean, being a kid, just in your room, scared mindlessly by shuffling zombies in the 90s, sitting next to a liter of Mountain Dew and some pizza. I mean,
Please, this was the 90s. It was
So I played it.
Or DNL.
to me, that was like the best time ever. And out of all my games because I actually originally played this on the N64, so out of all my games, I played this one the most, to where I pretty much memorized every single thing of it. So it's definitely going on the shelf for me.
I'm gonna have to second that one. That's a shelf for me too, just because it's a PS1 essential. Really, it's one of the best horror games I think they had to offer for that decade.
DJ, what were your thoughts on it?
I think I'm gonna blow a couple of minds here. I've been sort of going back and forth on this the whole time we've been recording, and you know what? I think I'm putting this on my shelf.
This is the first survival horror we got DJ to put in a shelf.
Yeah.
Everybody. We need like
Yeah.
air horns.
Woohoo!
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
Confetti rain down on an audio only podcast.
No, I actually this whole series has a really unique and really sort of cool aesthetic, because you have just this grotesque sort of body horror juxtaposed against like these very just sort of normal looking, just modern, like industrial sort of settings. I really like the pre-rendered backgrounds in this game because they're not really scary in the way that the environments of something like Silent Hill are scary. It's just a normal place that something super fucked up just happened in. And I don't know, something about just the art design of everything, it feels really cool. Like, again, the feeling this game gives me is Die Hard but with zombies. And that's really kind of what it feels like to play. I feel like I would like it even more if, again, I were playing maybe a more modern version of it, like, say, the remake, where maybe the puzzle structure is a little more streamlined and there's not quite as much confusion over, okay, where the fuck do I go? This is really, if you're trying to beat this game inside of a week, I would recommend a guide. But the experience of playing it was very cool. Like, and this is a much gamier sort of game, and I liked that. It's much more about working with your resources and working with the controls. The combat is very strategic, and this is a game that basically tries to catch you off guard and then challenges you to keep your cool. It's all about those little moments of like adrenaline, as opposed to Silent Hill, which is about just this building dread. And it's a very stark difference. And I actually, they do a really good job with that sort of core gameplay nugget and reflecting it in the rest of the game. And the story is interesting, and it's sort of fun. The campiness of it is very sort of fun as well. Even the terribleness of some of the voice acting is kind of fun. Like it feels like it does feel like a very cohesive package, and I really like it. Yeah, it's on my shelf.
You mentioned body horror because I know Shinji Mikami has talked about his love of Evil Dead a couple times. Like the first Resident Evil and Evil Dead, I feel like have so much in common of just being this like tiny little thing that's just filled with disgusting monsters. But has
terror
like this,
within.
Yeah, it has this like just unbridled charm behind it.
Stuart, what was your thought? I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but
we're gonna open a poll in Facebook, and we're gonna see if people can guess. This has been on my shelf for decades at this point, literally now, almost 2 decades. This game just got past its 20th anniversary last year. I forgot that. Yeah, I mean, this game is it's Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil so much, even the bad ones. Depending on who you ask, which ones are the bad ones. Something about the universe is so fun, like as stressful as these games can be.
Yeah.
Early on, just like they've got that satisfaction of beating them, and then learning. Like I remember, I still remember learning like the movements of zombies. Always was just such a satisfying moment for me. Of like, oh, I can kind of juke this zombie if I do this, and I'll learn the tank controls well enough that I can just do it without thinking about it. Just finding like the different weapons and having to think about do I want to use this for this boss? Oh, I need a safe shotgun because I know this is coming up. I love that in games. I love just Resident Evil in general, to the point that I think I mentioned Sam Mercer from Overblood and I have talked about taking a week and trying to play through all the Resident Evil main titles, I should say, all the like 0 through 6 or 7 at this point. Trying to play through all of them in a week, just see how far we can get. Just because we both have such a just deep love and appreciation for that series. So that all being said, it's going in a box. It'll be on my shelf. If I could buy that nice quiet confusion for everybody. Yeah. If I could buy like 5 of these and put them on my shelf, I would.
I'm definitely going to be rebuying it for the 3rd time at some point because I want to track down the GameCube port, see if that's an improvement.
I mean, I'm staring at an Umbrella logo on the side of my computer right now.
And then for me, I would say box. I mean, much as I love the Resident Evil series, I love the story, I cannot really get into the original tank control ones. I mean, this is a good game, but just the stress I felt after finishing it, I just did not want to go back and play B. I wanted to, but I couldn't make myself do it. I just could not start it up again. I couldn't find the willpower. And honestly, I might try to go back and play B just because I feel like I should. But yeah, this game definitely go in the box because I probably will never play it again, knowing me.
It's funny that DJ said play the remakes because you might think they're a little easier. I would say the remakes are way more stressful than the original.
I think in terms of
in terms of playability, like actual mechanics, they're smoother. But I think Capcom's just nailed it with the remakes to such a level of, okay, we know that we're going to...
The remakes, that's the thing, is that they'll be smoother to play, but way more stressful in terms of, like, the number of enemies and
even just
the AI
things,
and...
Like the changing of the liquors just perfectly compensates for the lack of tank controls. Of just like, oh, like, I can navigate easier, but now they've invented a whole new method of an enemy finding me based on navigation.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that's something that's not really present in the original at all. And that's something that Silent Hill did have, is that idea of like getting past, like sneaking past the monsters. I don't think the original RE2 really does that at all.
Yeah, well, like Jesse said, it was supposed to be in 1.5 and it just kind of got lost in there. But right now, whatever Capcom says they want to do with the Resident Evil series, I'm on board 100%. 7 was fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like they all figured out exactly what everybody wanted from Resident Evil and somehow made games for just everyone to play. Like, I mean, Resident Evil 1 remake, I've known people that have never played any Resident Evil saying they loved it. It was one of their favorite games. And then people have been playing Resident Evil for years saying like, oh my God, it's so good. It's so amazing. So Capcom can do no wrong as far as Resident Evil goes with me right now.
Well, yeah, right now.
Definitely that was after real hard. My heart's gonna get broken again, but don't worry. Yeah, but right now I'm gonna ride that high.
They're on a high wave right now. They have Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3 coming down the line. They just put out Devil May Cry 5, which I hear is really good. I mean, they're like on a roll.
Yeah.
Capcom's company.
Yeah. All we need now is Phoenix right on the Switch. Come on, guys.
All we need now is a good Mega Man.
Mega Man 11. Come on.
Or Legends 3.
Legends 3. Yeah.
Oh, Stuart, do you want to...
No. What we really need is a new Battle Network. Come on, guys.
I never played those yet.
Oh, man, we should put that on the list.
Hey, you can, and you're going to be on yours, because I don't know anything about it, but I play it.
Let's just say, Capcom, don't make any new games ever again. Just focus on the IPs you have, because they're all amazing, and you can do amazing things with them. I mean, even Monster Hunter World.
Please, guys, just bring back .exe. That's all I want.
Is that Mega Man you're talking about, .exe?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the same as Battle Network.
Okay. That's one area. Like, I love Mega Man. I've never got into any of the Battle Network ever.
Oh, Battle Network is so good. That's some nostalgic shit. We want to get into some nostalgic Capcom shit. For me, that's it.
Yes. How about a sequel to Okami? Or another sequel to Okami. There was a second.
There's the DS one.
Yeah, Okami Den.
Okami Den or something?
Yeah, Okami Den. On the DS.
Okami, but
yeah. So, or Capcom, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing it.
Just keep at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, they wouldn't do an Okami sequel because that was Clover Studio, which closed down and then became Platinum.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'll find a way. Start a petition.
Oh, that always works. Stuart, do you want to introduce our game for next week?
Every time you ask me, I have a moment of panic where I'm like, am I going to say the wrong game? I believe the game for next week is Nintendo's 007, not Nintendo's. Wow, I'm fucking this up. It's 007 GoldenEye, correct, for the N64?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I like that you asked me because I always panic the last
time. What's your pick?
I know right up until you ask me.
Yeah, we're gonna dive back into 007 GoldenEye. I haven't played that game in since I was a kid. I'm excited to play it again.
This is another one of those cases of me playing something that I would have wanted to play when I was a kid, but my parents never bought me an N64, so I just had to watch my friends play it.
It's my favorite free theme in the show, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I got another 64 game on the list coming up that I want to pick. But yeah, so we're playing GoldenEye. Should we start working our way out then? I got some stuff to plug real fast, or?
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
All right. First, just want to say that one of the guys that we were working with, if you guys can listen to his podcast, This Week in Video Games, it's a podcast all about the word of video games, from news, reviews, and interviews. Get a chance, check him out. He's on most podcasting platforms. You can find all of us, and I watch the entire Overblood Super Replay, where we do ask the people listener questions a lot of times. That's where we got a bunch of the ones that we were reading.
Which I actually got right this time. Yay.
And DJ, do you want to plug the guy who gave us that awesome intro?
Our wonderful theme song comes to us courtesy of Mike Stoney, a.k.a. Bulby. It's the Cool Kids Squad off his EP, Bite the Bullet. You can find Mike Stoney on his SoundCloud as well as his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bulby. He's got tons of great stuff up there, including 8 and 16-bit remixes of video game tunes, as well as his own original stuff. So go and check that out.
And Steph, anything for you before
I'm still working on my Etsy art channel. Actually, I'd like to give a shout out to Todd McFarlane, who recently went on my Instagram and liked some of my art. So thank you very much, Todd. Other than that, nothing.
All right. And I want to say you can find us on most podcasting platforms. Also, please like the Facebook page. Every day I go in and post screenshots and something quick little excerpt from whatever game we're going to be playing coming up in that week. So something to get you kind of excited, interested, and maybe if you have no idea what the hell the game is, at least you'll know a little bit more before you come into our show.
Like me.
All right. And I thank you guys for listening, and you guys have a wonderful night, everybody out there.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
It'd be kind of funny to play the 2010 GoldenEye 007 game instead.
No.
And just talk about it. Like, oh god, how much people would be angry if we played the 2010 version and pretended like we thought that was the one that everyone loves. And we're like, yeah, apparently this game.
I have no idea why people love this so much.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that.